From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more Corner Pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant. It is presented, as always, by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill in Tallahassee, Florida. CPTallybar.com. If it's the weekend, it's a perfect time to go to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. You can even place an order online if you're running low on time, running around getting things ready for your holiday weekend. Hope it treats you well. Hope you make some time out to, do what's right. Remember, the people that paid the sacrifices to let us live the lives that we live here in this great country of ours. Salute to you. Shout out. Corey Clark's here, everybody. We're going to do a show. Lots of Renegade Express at the back end of it. Front end, we'll be talking about baseball. But before that, just to check in real quick. Corey, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. Thanks for asking. That means a lot.
All right, cool. So Wednesday, your guy was struggling here. Drove out with Michael Langston to Jacksonville at the crack of dawn. Threw me in for a loop. Couldn't even watch the baseball game against Virginia. All I saw was the tweet from Jeff Cameron, which made me laugh out loud in my own house by myself. When all it was Jeff Cameron's tweet was, Reese Albert just hit a home run. This team is winning the national championship. And I'm like, that was amazing. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this. And this team does what it's always done, and it's just made you believe. It's made you believe at multiple points in the season only to turn around and then punch you in the stomach. It's all of our faults. They did it to us again. After that win against Virginia, they fall to Notre Dame on Thursday 5-3. They will not advance to the semifinals. Thus concludes the regular season, but that's the postseason kind of this tournament. After the Clemson series, I was like, I'm not going to believe in this team, but man, I hate this team because they find ways to just pull you back in, Corey. They keep doing it. And I don't know, I'm their huckleberry, I guess. Your thoughts on Thursday's game against Notre Dame, 5-3, they fall.
Look, and I said as much on I was on Cameron's show on Thursday before we watched the game. We talked before we watched the game, and there was really nothing I didn't really care about that game at all. I wanted to see three things. I wanted to see if Messick could look like himself again. He did not, and that is now a legitimate concern. The other thing I wanted to see was what Meat was going to do. I assumed it would be a close game late. I wanted to see if Meat would use Montgomery in a relief situation, and he did. Now, it was in a 5-1 game, but he did. Montgomery didn't have a clean inning, but he didn't give up a run. He was throwing 90. I think he hit 99 at one point, but threw 97, mostly 95. Looked good enough, I guess. Not great, but didn't give up a run, like I said. And then what was he going to do? Like, would it be Montgomery, Hare Montgomery, or would he put Ross Dunn in there? So I got to see the three big question marks. Were Messick, Dunn, and Montgomery. And you got to see all three of them. The problem is that Messick was the worst of the three. And I've done a little numbers crunching. Ooh, and look, man, I didn't think Florida State played terribly. That kid's a good pitcher. He's probably one of the best pitchers in the conference. He's got better numbers than Messick almost across the board. And he shut him out 2-0 the last time they faced them. So it certainly wasn't a surprise that Florida State didn't score 13 runs again off this kid. This is their ace. But Florida State's ace has just been straight average, really below average, not just for him, but for a starting pitcher in college baseball his last three starts.
Yep. And
that's a concern. I just did the numbers. He's including Thursday where he gave up 5 earned runs in 5 innings. He's pitched the last 3 games. He's pitched a total of 16 1/3 innings. He's given up, 12 runs, and he's given up 22 hits in 16 innings. And the most concerning thing to me, Aslan, is he struck out 12 in 16 innings. This was a guy that before this stretch was averaging almost 2 strikeouts an inning, it seemed like. Yeah. Certainly well over 1 strikeout per inning. In these last 3 games, he has not been electric. He has not had good stuff. He is not putting hitters away, and they are finding a lot of barrels. And as you go into the postseason, that's a concern. Neither one of your 2 aces that you've lauded all year, that you've counted on all year, that you thought just get us into the postseason. And these guys can get hot and carry us to Omaha because it's one of the better 1-2 combinations in the country. Well, they've both been average for now 3 weeks. Hubbard a little bit longer. And Messick has had a great year. I'm not taking anything away from it. I don't know if it's too many innings. I don't know if it's a bit of a dead arm, but he is not the dude that he was at the beginning of the season. Notre Dame proved that. Notre Dame scored, I think he struck out like 13 guys the last time he faced Notre Dame. This time in 5 innings, he struck out 4. Just not the same guy. And he's got 8 days to get it right, but this team has no chance of doing anything, no matter if the offense doesn't strike out or puts the ball in play. It has no chance of doing anything if Messick and Hubbard are average. And neither one of them have even been average here the last 3 weeks. They've been below average college weekend starters. And that needs to change if they're going to have any chance. Yeah,
and it's like the extra base hits too. Like when he's
getting not
hit,
the guy.
He's getting rocked. Like he's allowing doubles, he's allowing home runs. I mean, the only thing that maybe gives me a little bit of solace, but I think it'll probably be washed away in a regional, is that, I mean, these last 3 starts, none of them have been Friday night games. None of them have been night games, which is what he was, you mentioned probably you would have liked to seen him start the second game of the doubleheader against Miami because that was going to be a night game Saturday night, let him feed off the crowd. Well, he pitched in an afternoon game, didn't work out all that well. North Carolina, that was an afternoon game. And then, out there in Charlotte on Thursday, another afternoon game. So maybe if he gets back to his natural habitat, something will click. But it's mildly concerning. And then the fact that you load the bases with no outs and then, just 2 strikeouts, and I don't even know what the third out of the inning was.
Well, the third out was a fly ball to the fence and center by Lacey.
Yeah.
So if he hits it 5 extra feet, or if he swings a millisecond earlier, that's a grand slam. Look, Brock Mathis came within 2 feet
Rock the bat! I yelled it
of a game tying grand slam in the 9th inning.
I thought he had it.
I mean, he hit it clearly hard enough.
What a
he
weird
just didn't
park.
hit it high enough.
Like Corey, the commentator was throwing me for a loop all game long because he was just erupting, and it's like that's not going to go anywhere, and it would get caught in the outfield, and then he would erupt again. You're like, that's not going anywhere. And then it would be a home run, and it's like, gosh, like this guy needs to figure out his distances because he thought like Lacey's that shot. I'm like, that's not leaving the park. But he's like, it could be out of here. No, it gets caught at the track. It's like, no, dude, don't give me that false hope. And then Tyler Martin's last out. He's like, oh, it's tracking left field. And it's like, hey, man, don't give me this hope. But anyhow, sorry, continue.
But the point being, look, man, Florida State doesn't hit a lot of home runs, so you're counting on a lot for grand slams. But they were like Martin, Lacey, and then Brock Mathis. They all came kind of close. They all hit it on the warning track, and Mathis hit it off the top of the fence. They were all that close to a grand slam. And then you've at least tied the game. You might have won the game. Like the offense that's about as much as you can expect from the offense against a really good pitcher, which this guy is, a Friday night ace. They're not going to put up a ton of runs. But I am worried about the offense because the offense has been awful all year. But what's been carrying this team, as much as you can say anything's carried it to a 3 seed, is in the national tournament is it's pitching, it's starting pitching in particular. And those guys, Hubbard was okay, but Hubbard gave you 4 innings, man. You can't even count on your number 2 guy to get you 6 innings anymore. He can't even get you to the 5th usually. Before this last outing, he didn't get out of the 2nd. So what do you have in Hubbard and what do you have in Messick? Like maybe they get some time off. Like they'll probably they'll play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I assume you pitch Hubbard on Friday because again that's an afternoon game. That'll probably be an afternoon game because whoever the host team is, wherever they're going, they get the night slot. So you have to play in the afternoon. I would not pitch Messick during the day under any circumstances. But either way, that might just be me being superstitious. But I think Hubbard pitches the first game, Hubbard Crowell, and then the second game is Messick Dunn, and see what happens. But it used to be, if Hubbard and Messick were pitching, well, that's 14 innings chewed up right there.
Yeah.
Probably with like 25 strikeouts. Now you're looking at 9 innings in 7 strikeouts. Like they're just not the guys they were earlier in the year, but they have a week to get it right. I don't know what the deal is with Messick. It's really bizarre because he is not missing bats, and when they hit him hard. Like he got out of that inning after they made it 5-1. He only got out of that inning. He gave up a rocket shot to Lacey that turned into a double play because the kid was running inside the baseline. But that ball was hit as hard as the home runs. I mean, he's just not He's not confusing anyone. I don't know if he's tipping pitches, but the 2 home runs I saw were both on off-speed pitches, and the guys just kind of were a little bit out in front, but they got the barrel on it. And again, this is the kid that used to lead the country in strikeouts. Up until 8 days ago, he led the country in strikeout. He was dominant, and now you wonder, can he get you through 5 innings in a regional or 6 innings in a regional without giving up 3 home runs? So it's look, man, maybe I'm being a little too alarmist, but it's been 3 rough starts in a row. And this is a kid that was eyeing like National Pitcher of the Year for 2.5 months. And it's just, he doesn't look like the same guy. And it's got to be a concern for meeting those guys. And from Parker, too, man. This is his money year. He might have pitched himself out of a first-round selection. And again, he's still going to make money. He's still going to get a nice guaranteed signing bonus, but it might not be millions upon millions of dollars. That's how concerning to me these last 3 outings have been. But maybe it's just a mechanical thing. Maybe he is tipping off his pitches. I don't know. It's just bizarre because he's never been hit like this in his career.
Man, I'd go out on a high note as we go to the Renegade Express mailbag, but yeah, I don't know. I think I have nothing to base it on. I just think that kid, if he's the bulldog that he's been advertised as and has shown us for 90% of his career, other than these last 3 weeks, I just think he'll figure out a way to figure it out. And I don't know. We'll see what region they end up going to on Monday, and then we'll reassess, and then I'll have belief. And then, we'll see where the belief leaves me at the end of June.
And I would feel better if he had pitched better away from home. I mean, he's not been awful away from home, but almost all of his dominant, incredible, holy moly starts have been at home. North Carolina wasn't great. Georgia Tech, not good at all. Like, these are all Thursday in the ACC tournament, just when he's not in Hauser, it just feels like he's a different pitcher. And that's, he's not going to be playing his professional games in Hauser, so he certainly needs to figure that out. And I'm not trying to kill the kid. He's been awesome. He's been the reason, he's one of the reasons they're even in the NCAA tournament at all. For 3 months, he was their best player and one of the best pitchers in college baseball. But these last 3 starts, if you're being honest, thinking about Florida State's chances, if they have any at all in the postseason, you cannot ride this offense in this defense into a super regional. It's just not good enough. You have to have the arms. You have to have the starting pitching. And they, for the last 3 or 4 weeks with these 2 particular kids, have not had it. And but the good news, I guess, is we know it's in there. They've both proven they can do it. So maybe they get hot at the right time. That's what you got to hope for.
He drops a 6-5 on the season. Wow, who'd have thunk?
They've lost their last 3 starts with him pitching. That's not something. I think it's their last 4 starts. Honestly,
he pitched in BC when they lost, but I don't think
it wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
But he gave up a home run in that game. You're allowed to go out and shut out BC on 2 hits.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're allowed to do to BC what Notre Dame's pitcher has done to you now 3 times in a row. Like, you can do that, and Messick didn't even do that. So they've lost 4 straight of his starts. That's just incredible, really. As good as he's been and as good as he is, that's a little off-putting as you get ready for the postseason. But again, you're in the postseason. So you're in the postseason. You got 2 guys that could be major league pitchers. Certainly are going to be drafted, are going to be selected in the major league draft in the early rounds. Both lefties. These teams haven't seen them before. Whoever they're going to be facing probably hasn't seen either one of them before. And you just hope they get right and can find it. And then, you can make a super regional. If these guys pitch well, your offense can do enough to get you to a super regional. But if they don't pitch well, zero chance. Zero chance.
Before we go to the Renegade Express mailbag, shout out to Marvin Minnis, known to a lot of you as Snoop, tweeted out on Thursday that he woke up to a phone call from Coach Mike Norvell indicating to him that he would be inducted into the FSU Hall of Fame. So shout out to him. We don't know the entire class, but apparently he's going to be part of it. So Snoop.
He did it, man. He did it. Yeah. He did it. Might have been sooner if he'd have played in that Orange Bowl. Just throwing that out there, Snoop. Come on, buddy. I'm still a little upset by that. But it's a great, hey, man, and it's one of the most underappreciated all-time great seasons that a receiver at Florida State has had. I haven't looked up his numbers in 2000, but it was incredible. I mean, I know he had Winky throwing to him, but
63 for 1340 and 11 touchdowns in just 11 games.
1340 is a ton.
It's huge. Yeah.
I mean, that's
63 catches,
150 a game or 120 a game. And he was big in the big games. So he had over 100 against Miami. He had 2 touchdowns against Florida. He had the long 99-yarder against Clemson, or 98-yarder against Clemson that year. So he showed up in the big games that mattered the most until the last one. But again, Snoop, I'm letting it go. It's been a long time. He was all-time great. And he caught some big passes in 99, too. He caught a really big touchdown again in the Florida game to clinch going to the national championship in 99. So he is well-deserved, very deserving of that honor. He was a very good college football player.
I was going to say he didn't not show up because he didn't play poorly, but just he couldn't show up. So
he literally did not. He did not show up on the field that night.
Show up on the field.
He was on the sideline. He was there on the sideline. I remember seeing him. Yeah, I remember when. Who was it? I think it was a fade pass to Javon Walker, maybe. Atru's, I can't remember who it was.
Was it Robert Morgan, the one that dropped it, the touchdown, kind of bobbled it?
Maybe. It was a diving attempt.
Yeah.
And it was a fourth down play in the end zone, and it went right through his arms. It would have been a really nice catch because he was diving, flat out diving, but he could have caught it. It went right through his arms. And I remember the video board then showing like Snoop Menace and the guys on the sidelines' reaction to him missing it. And I was like, man, yeah, Snoop, that could have been you making that catch. In the end zone, especially because Florida State didn't score a single point offensively in that game.
All right, with that said, we're going to
Snoop, I love you, dog. I love you, man. That's awesome. Seriously. But I'm not alone with Florida State people, Florida State fans from way back. That's sadly, because of how the game ended up, that's one of the first things they think about with Snoop. But I would also think about that 98-yarder. That's more important. Let's say go ahead and get that. That's an all-time highlight. And the game he had against Florida to close out his career in 2000 was an all-timer as well. Very, very good football player.
Well, listen, we just talked about all the misery and the struggles of Parker Messick recently, but none of this. We didn't celebrate any of the successes, So that's unfortunately how we remember things.
That's what we do here, gang.
All right, Renegade Express coming up right after this. Corey, this is kind of like the severance part of the program here. Our brains are partitioned off to not realize what happened in the ACC baseball tournament. We already talked about it, everybody, but we recorded this part before that game. So I kind of poorly planned framed the Renegade Express question with some baseball queries. So hopefully we don't have a lot of those because it's going to be weird to talk about it because we don't know how the Notre Dame game went.
Right.
At this point. But we've already spoke about it, so we're off the hook.
Well said, Aslan. Well said.
Let's go.
I wonder if we're happy as we talk
I know,
about that
right?
game.
Right? Are we?
Yeah.
Are we happy? Are we more sad? Are we more happy?
Is it another offensive barrage?
Yeah. Drill Sergeant Porter, wake up! Aslan, earlier this week you mentioned a hip hop artist and the name Big Meech. The only one I know of is Rick Ross said Big Meech is in the refrain of his song BMF. Yeah, somebody also sent me a Wikipedia link to Big Meech. It was clarified in the live show as well, Drill Sergeant Porter. Not a rapper, but apparently someone the community is trying to free. But, he was a pharmaceutical salesman.
Okay,
but
right. Allegedly.
Yeah. Do you guys think if you switched Warwick Dunn and Dalvin Cook to the others' prospective teams, would they have the same success or different success? My thought is, this Drill Sergeant Porter, Dalvin would have had much more success, but then again, they had Charlie Ward. Anyways, thank you guys, and as always, go Noles.
Yeah, man, I think it's, they both had a lot of success. So I feel like it would have been the same. Maybe Warwick Dunn doesn't have quite the success because he wasn't playing behind. I mean, Dalvin didn't play behind great offensive lines after his freshman year, really. So maybe you think that way, that like maybe Warwick Dunn struggles a little bit, but Warwick Dunn was awesome. So I assume he would have put up a lot of yards and scored a lot of touchdowns as well. I think the teams would have been about the same. I don't know that Dalvin wins them a championship at Warwick. Maybe he doesn't get the flu in New Orleans and they have a shot against Florida.
Stronger immune system.
In the championship game, I guess. That's the hope.
We need to do like a quasi 30 for 30 or like the Last Dance sort of chapter about the flu game against Utah. Just like, was it the flu, guys, or was it food poisoning, or was it the flu, or I just feel like I don't want to diminish any of these guys. I love both of them. But like if I had to make an argument like on a nationally televised show on ESPN, I would probably be like maybe Dalvin was just a little bit more explosive. So,
yeah. Warrick Dunn was. I mean, look, man, when you watch Warrick Dunn highlights and he's awesome, there are enormous holes he's running through in some of those games, like enormous holes that Dalvin didn't get a ton of. Different kind of offensive scheme, obviously, different kind of blocking scheme. But, yeah, man, I think, Warrick Dunn's one of my all-time favorite players. I think it's almost inarguable that Dalvin Cook was better. When he broke all his records, he's doing what he's doing in the league. Not that Warrick Dunn didn't have a very good career in the NFL too. I think Dalvin Cook's just a touch better. Doesn't mean but Dalvin Cook's one of the best that's ever done it. So no shame in that.
It would have been interesting if they would have gone back to back. Like if Warrick Dunn would have played, if Dalvin Cook would have gone, the 3 years after Warrick Dunn or vice versa. Does it have a more apples to apples?
Yeah,
sort of?
It's tough, right? It's tough to compare.
Yeah, and I don't want to diminish either of those guys. I love them both. S. Quinn 67, wake up! Our schizophrenic baseball team is at it again. Last week of the season, they can't buy a run, and then on Wednesday, as I try to figure out the days of the week, 15 hits and a run rule win. Just crazy. I planned on taking the kids to the tournament this weekend, but our Wednesday-Thursday schedule was in the middle of their finals. Too bad. I hope the Noles make it to the weekend. I'm sure we'll talk about it earlier on the show, S. Quinn. Anyhow, let's go on.
Yeah.
His question for the week, Corey, out of all the two-sport athletes in FSU history, not including Deion Sanders, which of them, A, was the best athlete, B, ended up accomplishing the most in sports? Have a great week. We appreciate you guys giving us great content in the offseason and forcing the football. Go Quinn, or go Noles, S. Quinn 67, class of 93.
I mean, I guess it would have to be Charlie Ward, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like he should have been taken off the board too. Then it's a much more interesting question. But yeah, Charlie won a Heisman and then played, I think, 9 or 10 years in the NBA. Was a first-round pick. And made a lot of money. So Charlie Ward's the answer. After that, I don't know who accomplished the most in their other sport. Like Jalen Ramsey was an All-American in track, like a legit All-American in the long jump, and he's turned out to be a pretty good professional football player. That's a good one.
I would say, I was going to argue that Jalen is A. He's the answer to the.
He's
A
definitely
part
the
of the
best
question.
athlete.
Yes.
If you're asking like who the best runner jumper is,
Yes.
there's nobody better than Jalen except Deion probably. So yeah, I guess Jalen would be the best athlete out of the two sport guys, right? I don't know that there's but Charlie also punted. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. The guy was just nuts. It was a first round pick in basketball. His second sport. So, those are both good answers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Jameis, but the baseball thing never went to professional, so it's hard to throw him.
Yeah,
there.
he was a closer on a number one team in the country. Like he was the closer. I mean, that's back when Florida State was ranked high all season long, and he was a switch hitter. He got 3
guys
hits
from the right field, like just throwing dudes out at third base.
He didn't. I think his second year, he didn't hit a ton. He wasn't in the lineup a lot. He was just mostly saved as a closer. But he had 3 hits off Carlos Rodon in a game as a freshman, batting right-handed, and he also could bat left-handed, and he was a closer. Oh yeah, and he won the Heisman. Like that's nuts too. That's they have like 4 or 5 two-sport guys that other schools don't have any. And they have 4 or 5 of the best ever. I'm going to look up Jalen's track accomplishments while you move on.
Primetime 92. He's the all-star of the offseason, brings in off-topic questions. Oh, man. All right. What is your go-to late-night Whataburger order? I never got all that much into Whataburger. I think maybe because the name confused me, because some people would call it Whataburger, like water burger, and then there would be like what burger, and I'm just like, if you guys can't even tell me the name of this place, I don't feel comfortable eating food from there. I don't know, man. I don't know the names of I just know it's the honey butter chicken biscuit, but I don't think that's the late night. I don't have a lot of experience with the Whataburger side of things prime time. I don't know about Corey. Corey hopefully hasn't been eating Whataburger. Hopefully stayed far away from it for years. Well, not years, but just at least in this little stint of yours. Which I think somebody asks about later on, so we won't talk too much about your workout routine and stuff. Second part of this is 3 parts. Second part, what is the most?
I didn't get to answer it.
Oh, okay. All right, then if you're looking up Jalen stuff.
I did. I got both.
Look at you.
So yeah. So
best
the
athlete.
answer
You might
there,
be the best technician of the internet on the board.
It's crazy. It's crazy what I'm doing over here. First off, I'll answer the question. It would be a double cheeseburger. I'm trying to stay away from that kind of stuff. I love Whataburger. Trust me, I'm not happy about it. But yeah, that would be my late night. But man, I'm telling you what, that Whataburger, especially in the one in Appalachia, I guess it's all Uber orders. But I might leave Corner Pocket a night a little later than you should. You know, maybe 12:30, 1, maybe sometimes later than that. And you drive down that Corner Pocket, drive down Appalachia, and the cars are out almost onto Appalachia. It's 15 cars in there because I guess they cook it to order, which is awesome. It's in a Whataburger show. It's not Wake Up Whataburger, but I love the burgers there, and I would usually get a double with cheese, no tomato, and crush it. It's really good, but I haven't had one of those in years. I'm trying to give my stomach a break.
Okay.
And
I didn't realize there was
Jalen
one
Ramsey.
on. I didn't realize there was one on Appalachia. I just didn't know one that was on Lake Bradford, and like Lake Bradford just gave me bad vibes. Never liked. And there was
Oh,
like
yeah.
there was
No,
like
the
a McDonald's
Appalachia
inside of a Circle K that people would go to. I'm just like, I'll pass, man. I'll just go.
Yeah,
to bed hungry.
it's packed. It's always slammed, the drive-thrus. And then so in March 2015, Ramsey recorded his personal best jump of 26 feet 1 3/4 inches at the NCAA Indoor Championships. In May, Ramsey won the ACC Long Jump Championship with a leap of 26 1.5 inches, only 3 inches short of the automatic qualifying mark for the 2016 Olympic team trials. So he was 3 inches short so he won the ACC in the long jump, and he's going up against kids that's all they do. They're on campus to long jump. Yeah. And this kid's just doing it in his spare time as he's becoming a first-round pick in another sport. So if he'd have concentrated full-time at long jump, I feel like he probably makes up those 3 inches and becomes at least qualifies for the team trials of the U.S. Olympics, has a chance to make the Olympic team. That's how, like if he'd have just focused full-time on it, that's how dynamic a track and field star he was. So, yeah, Jalen could do some things.
What is the most angry you have ever been in your life? Man, it's tough. It's like I'm angry a lot. The most angry. I mean, I don't know. Man, I'll tell you what. After losing to Miami in 2003, I was not. I literally just I self-isolated. I was in the quarantine. I'm like, no, everyone leave me alone. Everybody.
Is this a sports question?
I don't think so, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's. I mean, got me most upset in my life. I mean, probably some with a woman, but they all get.
I was gonna say, yeah, the relationship stuff is or hey, having a kid can do some things that just makes you want to punt them through a window. It's remarkable how mad they can make you, or at least how mad I get. But yeah, I would say I won't go into great details, but let's just say it probably had something to do with the relationship in the past. Not this current one.
This one's smooth.
It's all puppy dogs and rainbows with this current one.
That's right.
But ones before that, there was some real. There's some. You can't even you can't even get words out. Sometimes you're so mad. You're so flabbergasted at something that happened, and you can't even get the words out. So yeah, there's been quite a few of those in my life.
Yeah, this is like giving me bad vibes. I like it though, primetime 92. This is like we're on the sofa, got to open up.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know.
I don't think people are ready for that. I don't know if people are ready for that.
I don't even know if I could answer that question. Like if you gave me a week to think about it, which is a good and bad thing. I have been angry so much, but I think I would just in the moment, I see red and I want to do really bad things to people, and then the good part of it is like a week or two later, I'm like whatever. Which I guess
it only takes a week. It only takes a week or two.
Well, I mean, in most, I don't know, when it comes to like a Twitter troll or something, But I can't think of anything in life that I just remember Mercedes Mike. All right, Mercedes Mike. We went to spring break in Daytona Beach in 2001. A bunch of us, 12, 13 of us, and we all chipped in money. Obviously, get beer and food for the hotel room. And he was really skimping around, and he didn't have as much money as us. Not that we were all flush with cash, but I think he wasn't working at the time or whatever, and we all had part-time jobs. And
so Mercedes was an ironic name, calling me Curly or something?
Well, I mean, he works for Mercedes now, and he's living a big.
Okay, all right.
He's living the dream now. But, he was really – he didn't want to chip in the $50 that everybody was doing. He's like, man, I don't want – because I'm I want to get a bunch of Corona Light too. And he's like, I'll just drink Miller Lite. And I'm like, I don't want to drink Miller Lite all weekend. I want some good beer to throw in the mix. So he's like, how about I just throw in so we made him throw in fewer money, and he's like, I'll just drink the Miller Lite. Well, like after 4 or 3 nights or whatever in Daytona Beach, like he had polished off most of our Corona, and I was so upset. And then I ordered a pizza, and I took a shower. When I got out of the shower, he had eaten like half of my pizza. So I was livid, and like I had a camcorder up there. It's like to film all our shenanigans, and I was so angry, just seething mad. And somebody turned the camera on and started recording me, and I'm like, Aslan, I'm like, if you're watching this, just remember, Mike is a piece of bleep. He's not a true friend. He is so selfish beyond all comprehension. I'm like, you don't want him in your life. So if you're watching this later on in life and he's still your friend, you've done something really wrong. Like, I couldn't fight the guy because he would kick my ass because he's so much bigger than me. But I'm just like, he's a piece of garbage. I was in his wedding, and he's one of my best friends. So I was really angry, though. I was really angry.
Must be so is it just so you made amends then? Clearly,
yeah. I mean, not even. Just
has he bought you a pizza since then? Now that he works for Mercedes, has he made it up to you at least? Some Coronas?
Not really. Actually, sometimes like we'll go out to dinner when he's in Tallahassee. He'll pay for dinner, then I'll pay for drinks when we go out.
Oh, there you go.
Around,
all right, it's all coming together.
Yeah. All right. If the War Chant team went out to a bar, who's leaving with a girl first? Assuming everyone is single. Ira's just smooth. Y'all don't even know. Kim, don't listen to this.
If other women, that's a tough question too, man. If other women aren't involved, I would say, me personally, I would think it would be Cameron.
Okay, Cameron is charismatic.
He's charismatic, in relatively good shape, I guess.
Fearless too. You gotta be fearless out there, kids.
Yeah. I would say Cameron would be my first choice, followed probably then by you.
All right,
I would think.
Appreciate that.
So you get the silver.
Okay. Back to the football. Thank you, Primetime 92. Keep it up on the offseason, man. JT Knowles 2K2. Hey, Aslan and Corey, wake up. I hope you guys are doing awesome. I am currently rewatching the Florida State-Miami game since it's on the iconic ACC network currently.
Nice.
So maybe we'll talk about I don't even know. So was a game on? Was a game Wednesday on against Virginia? Was that on television anywhere in Tallahassee?
I don't think so. It was on in Georgia. Isn't that the beauty of it? I could watch it because it was on Bally's, Sports South thing, that whatever used to be Fox Sports is now Bally's.
Yeah.
So it was on Bally's. So I could watch it up here, but you guys couldn't because of Major League Baseball. So
Yeah. Well,
ACC just keeps taking care of the folks in Florida.
I've got 2 of those Bally channels, like Bally's for Georgia, like South whatever, and then Bally Florida, and both of them had some weird show on, and then I tried to go on ESPN3, and it said it was blacked out. It was incredible. And I used my mom's login because she's in Clearwater. I'm like, maybe that'll do it. I couldn't even watch the terrific game on Wednesday. But anyhow.
Yeah, it figures. They finally put up a ton of runs, and nobody can see it.
I'm going to have to lean on you on this one, Corey, because all my Florida State-Miami memories are, quite literally us losing. I was there during the, 5 straight losses. So what is your favorite, or rather, what's your best FSU-Miami story? I've got 2. 4th and 14 was incredibly awesome because before the drive started, I thought to myself, be a hero, Jordan. And I felt that he was going to do something great. After the game, I stopped at a Waffle House with my parents and my aunt, and while eating, a guy walked in and started the FLORIDA STATE chant, which the entire restaurant joined in singing. I also remember the block at the Rock being my freshman year of high school on the night of my homecoming dance, to be exact. I remember checking the score late and seeing that it was 20-19. I checked to see how Miami scored, and then that was when I discovered the block at the Rock. I got super excited, and that made it an okay night. Or rather, that made an okay night awesome. Thank you guys for answering my question. Support the sponsors, War Chant, and the players with merchandise or YouTube accounts. And lastly, go Noles. Okay. I remember Block at the Rock. I was at home by myself. So that wasn't, but it was an amazing feeling. How about you, Corey? I'm sure your best Florida State Miami story is like in person. I just don't have one of those really.
Yeah, it would probably be. I was there in '89 when they beat them, and Miami still won the national championship. But that's probably my all time. I was 13. Miami was number 1 in the country. Florida State scored Leroy Butler intercepted the first pass of the game, then Dexter Carter scored on the very next play, like a 37-yard run, and the place just was nuts. It just went. That's one of the loudest that stadium's ever been. So that's probably it. And of course, it didn't matter. Miami won the championship anyway.
I was there in 13. I came down from Jackson after the Clemson game, it was just like, all right, man, this team is legit after all. Let's get the band back together. So I was here for 13 when we beat Miami, but
yeah, and I just feel like I don't want to say one where I was actually covering it as like a journalist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a whole different experience than watching it as a fan. So that's why it has to be like pre-07 or whatever. So that's why and there wasn't a lot. I would 99, not 2000. Yeah, no, I'd say 89 is my one.
Yeah, I mean, 13 for me. I was there. I think it's probably the only Miami win I've witnessed in person. 10 was weird. 10, my buddy got married on the day of that game, and then we all vowed. I mentioned on the show before. We all vowed we were going to watch it after the wedding, like at our buddy's house, and he TiVoed obviously, and thankfully he went in first because it was his house. This friend of ours, Matt. And he had like a theater room, so we all watched in the theater room. So he got in there first and then like set everything up. But apparently like it froze. Like when the TiVo got done taping the game, it froze like on the final frame of the recording, which had the final score of the game. So he knew the final score of the game and kept it mum the whole time. So shout out to Matt.
Nice.
Good on
for
him.
Yeah,
and none of us knew, but like we're all drunk and happy because our buddy got married and we're watching that game and like we're being, I don't even remember how that game went, but I remember like it was a little bit touch and go early, if I'm not mistaken. So like we're all like riding and dying with each play early on, and like nervous, and he's just he just got him like. Chill.
That's the one where Chris Thompson had the back-to-back long runs.
Yes. So those are probably it, but I'm looking to add to that portfolio. So
amen.
Keep it up, guys. Let's go to Naples. It's Mark, or maybe still in, I don't know, where'd he go last week? I don't know, he's maybe back probably in Naples. Anyhow, it's Mark. It's M. Adam CZ. Wake up! Not to rehash the Jimbo Saban feud, but it is simply fascinating. Corey, you wrote an excellent article on it.
Thank you.
Article?
Thank you. It was a column, but an article works too. It's all encompassing.
Okay. I can only imagine what will happen if Jimbo and Saban have to share an elevator at SEC Media Days. I can see Jimbo ripping a huge fart in the elevator, LOL. Hopefully he doesn't challenge Nick to a fight. Come down here, say it to my face.
I think Jimbo would beat the tar out of Saban.
I was thinking about this. What would I don't know? Nick's got some wild to him, but Jimbo's got some fire.
Jimbo's got him, and Jimbo's younger.
Yeah,
got he's some weight. Thicker. Yeah, he's bigger. He's probably just as mean. Yeah. They're both from West Virginia, so you never know. But I mean, I think Saban probably hasn't. I just feel like Jimbo's probably been in a fight in the last 10 years. At some point, he just somewhere in his life, whether at a family gathering, picnic, whatever. He's been in a fight, a physical confrontation. I can't imagine Saban has. Yeah. He's always got people to protect him. Because Saban's small, much smaller than I am, and I'm not a big dude. So I would not feel threatened if Nick Saban came up to me. With Jimbo, I know I'm in for something. I think. You know what I mean? I think Jimbo would have a good try of beating me up.
That's my guy. I was thinking about this the other day. Would it be more awkward, do you think, if like Jimbo and Nick were in an elevator together, or Bill Belichick and Brian Flores?
I still definitely Nick and Jimbo. Like Bill didn't do anything wrong other than text the wrong guy. You know what I mean?
But that's hurtful. It's like
it's awful. It's awful what he did, but it was a genuine mistake. This was not. Jimbo's was very, very pointed. So, yeah, I would still say it would be Jimbo and Nick.
All right, but seriously, it really got me thinking about head coaches and their egos. Based on what you've seen and heard so far at FSU, do you think that Norvell has that cutthroat approach in recruiting when there is an opportunity to land a guy, or is he a nice guy who wants to win but does things the right way? Strikes me that he's somewhere in between. I could be wrong. We don't see what goes on outside of press conferences. I do love how professional Norvell is. Corey, even when you got Norvell all fired up after the Louisville game, he still remained professional and didn't make any excuses. And then he was classy enough to do that interview with you recently to relive that moment. Bottom line, do you think we'll get over the hump and get into the discussion for these elite classes, and what does that take and when? Is it just winning? We can't control the TV money or legislation when it comes to NIL. I still believe when FSU is winning, we will get our fair share of impact players. Go Noles forever. Can't wait to return to the corner pocket for the Wake Forest game this October. And, of course, seeing you guys in New Orleans.
Yeah, winning helps. And, look, man, we know what time it is. It's NIL helps. I don't know how else to say it, man. I don't know how much winning or being cutthroat on the recruiting trail. I don't even know what that means anymore. I guess I really don't know what it means even before NIL. Do you just start threatening people if they don't sign with your? I mean, you can. I'm all for that. Make them not be able to say no to you. If they want their uncle to have a good life, something like that. I don't know. It's just what I'm throwing out there. But no, with NIL on the board, yeah, man, it just what are you offering them? And I'm talking about the big time, like the high 4, 5-star guys. Like, what are you offering them? Because they're getting offered. You can have the best relationship in the world. You can be an unbelievable recruiter. If you're offering them $35,000, another school's offering them $280 or $380, we all know where they're going. So it's hard to even know what makes good. Winning does help, though. I will say that winning will help. If you start showing that if you're proving that you can turn this thing around and that you have turned it around, that will no doubt help.
Yeah, that's been my hang up with him in terms of recruiting. I wonder how it comes off because I think there's a certain swagger that guys like Kirby and Nick, have, and I don't know if it's
But
over
when
the
did
course.
Kirby get it?
I think he's
When
I
did
think
Kirby
he's had
get
it.
the
He's had it
swagger?
through
When he was at
osmosis,
Alabama, right?
Yeah, man. He had
When
it
they
being
were
around
winning.
that program.
I don't know that Kirby, fresh out of Florida State as a GA.
No. Yeah.
If he'd have taken the job at Georgia as the head coach, I don't think there's going to be a lot of swagger. People are going to feel that. But they felt it because they saw him on TV winning championships every other year.
Yeah.
So I you know what I mean? I don't know that swagger is just because that's who they are, or that swagger comes with winning a lot of games.
I just think there's some guys that can probably get it done before the wins come. A very, very few select. You might even be able to say Jimbo is one of those guys because he asked people to take a chance. I mean, listen, man. We kicked Bobby Bowden out of here, man. We forced that guy out, so things obviously weren't going all that great, and recruiting did not, suffer. I mean, recruiting went up through the roof immediately, so it's sort of a tough line to kind of walk. Man, I think it's a rare kind of thing, but he's.
Oh, I would definitely say right now, certainly Jimbo is Jimbo even before NIL. Was one of the best recruiters in the country. And that's what he did the best at Florida State. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, he loaded those rosters. He had a great staff of recruiters, which included Damian Craig and James Coley those first 2 years. That was a big deal. That made that championship team in that championship run was those two recruiting classes, 10 and 11. Norvell hasn't proven he's anywhere close to that yet. He's also selling a product that wasn't as he's selling a product that's worse than Jimbo was selling. Like even Jimbo was like, man, in 2008 they won 9 games. In 2005 they won an ACC championship. They had winning seasons that whole time. So he could sell look, we got a few tweaks we got to make, but we're right there, and he was right. But Norvell's just selling a different product right now, so that doesn't help. But yeah, man, I'm certainly of the impression that Jimbo is a better recruiter than Mike Norvell. Because there's 20 years worth of data.
Yeah, but I think to the point of we don't see what's going on outside of press conferences. I think he is pretty genuine, Norvell. So I think you all probably have a better idea of who he is than you might think you do. Because when he's talking to Corey before we start rolling the camera, he's the same person as he was once the camera started going. And I think that answer he gave. He's not going to deliver it in that kind of tone, obviously, in the living room to a family or to a kid or when they're in his office speaking to him. But, man, that was a sales pitch. I need guys that want to step up and step out. That answer he gave to Corey, it wasn't a rehearsed answer, and he's like, that comes from the heart. But, man, I'm sure he had those conversations with kids up until that point and knew that when he did have the opportunity to speak to kids, that was what he was going to have to sell them on. So, I think you do have kind of a window into how he operates. And listen, I don't think 18-year-old Aslan would have clicked with that kind of stuff. I just think, but I'm 18-year-old Aslan wasn't an elite athlete, so who wants him on their team? I am concerned about how that's going to work out with these elite guys. But if they start winning, which I kind of wanted to remove from the equation of here, but that is a really important part. I think that sort of stuff is a little bit easier to swallow. It's a little bit of a different approach, man. It's not a right or wrong thing, but It's interesting. It's different than I think what I had in my mind. But listen, man, you got Julian Armella. He's a good dude. Sam McCall, pretty solid.
Yeah.
Zaire Thomas, pretty solid. So let's get 8 wins. 8 wins, world's our oyster after that.
Right.
I saw this guy post the other day, and I'm like, what happened to him? I haven't seen him on the Renegade Express. And then sure enough, here he is on the Renegade Express. It's Big Steve-O, 22. Good morning, gentlemen. Hope you guys have been doing well. It's been a long time since I last made a post. Life will pull you away at times, but all is well here. So that's good to hear. Big Steve-O, young son, was going through all those heart procedures as a little wee lad. So glad everything's going well, man. I just want to get your thoughts on this playoff setup. 12 teams, eliminate all divisions in all the conferences, and let the top 2 teams, record-wise, play for their conference title. The Power 5 school champion, the Power 5 schools champ, so I guess the conference champions from those Power 5, and the runner-ups make the playoffs. The last 2 slots go to the highest-rated group of 5 schools and Notre Dame. If 2 group of 5 schools are ranked higher than Notre Dame, oh well. Now, seeding is determined by final ranking with the top 4 seeds receiving a bye. Thoughts? Well,
I mean, it's
why
not
would you,
any worse than anything else.
But why are you going to? Why would you have 2 guys? So you're going to have the top 2 teams from each conference play for the championship of their conference, but they both get to the playoff.
Good point. Yeah, that is a good point, because then you don't even have the playoff at that point, but of course, or the conference championship game at that point. But of course they will, because it makes money. Yeah, so that's the hiccup, is you'll have, what is that? You'll have 10 teams that have already played each other, and maybe there's a chance they play for a third time. So if they meet again in the playoffs, so that's where the rub would come in, and frankly, like, there might be a really deserving third team from another conference, that just because they're percentage points behind this team, because that's another thing you got to keep in mind. Like, they're not all going to play each other. So say Clemson's 8-0, Florida State's 7-1, and for the sake of argument, Virginia's 7-1. But Florida State and Virginia didn't play each other. So who gets to play Clemson in the championship game? Who earned that right? And then, so is it a tiebreak? I think that's where it would come into play. I have no problem with, like, each conference having their top 2 teams playing. But that's what you'd run into if you have a conference championship game. Is like, it makes the conference championship game moot. Like, why would you even play your starters in that? I mean, I know you want to win a conference championship, but why would you risk getting your starters hurt if the playoff starts in a week and a half and you're going to be playing that team again?
Right. I mean, I still don't know how I feel about the playoff, but I just was thinking there about. I mean, it's different. Obviously, we're not in the same conference, but I mean, all those years in the 90s with Florida State and Florida, it's like, if we both know we're going to make it to the playoff, that game loses so much juice. If Florida State's second in the nation, Florida's 5th in the final weekend of November, and there's a 12-team playoff, I mean, I guess if we win that game, then maybe we get home field in the first round if they do on-campus playoff games. There's a lot of unintended consequences with going to 12 teams. I don't know the best way to figure it out. But it's got to be some mix of conference champions, and then, I guess whoever's going to be ranked highest. But then are we using the coaches poll? Are we using the AP poll? Are we going to still have
computers,
the CFP?
baby? Go back to the computers.
I got nothing wrong with the computers. Bring back Billingsley. Bring back Billingsley. I love that. I love that guy. Gator 188. It's Gator Kirk, Virginia Beach, Virginia. Wake up. Ooh, here's some hard-hitting questions. Why isn't Corey's son named after a former FSU great that played prior to his birth? In my opinion, a true fan would have done so. Aslan, what will your first child's name be to represent the iconic brand of FSU? Softball underachieved this year, I think. Step it up next year. Go Noles. Beat Notre Dame. Oh, yeah, because the baseball game will be going on when we're recording this.
Right.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't even want to say I was thinking about this, but I was for some reason. Do you know was there a runner-up name for you, Corey? For your Sharon and John when they had you? Like, was it going to be Scott, Corey, Clark, or was there a runner-up?
No, Kevin, I think.
Oh, thank God. All right.
Kevin or Keith? What's wrong with Kevin? You don't like Kevin?
Oh, Kevin Clark's. That's not. I think you look like more like. I wish I never knew your middle name was Scott. I think you're totally a Scott Clark.
It was Casey.
Okay.
But they had a dog named Casey, and then my mom's mom was like, "You're not going to name my grandson after your dog."
Thank God.
So they went with Corey instead.
Okay. What was Brady? What were the CFP? What were the Final Four? What was the bracket for Brady?
Oh, Marvin, Dion, and Buster.
Okay.
Yeah, because Brady was born when Buster was having his crazy year. So we thought Buster Clark would be a cool name. But no, it was Brady. It was like Brady or Brody. And we didn't have like a long discussion about it. It was like I think we were like a month out.
Yeah.
And we're like, we probably need to think of what we're going to name this guy. And I was like, I kind of like the name Brady. And Shannon was like, I do too. And I was like, all right, well, there we go. He's going to be named Brady.
I know thoughts to do like any kind of funky spelling, like DIE or something like that instead of Y.
Oh, no. Come on, man. No chance. We gave him my dad's middle name.
Okay.
So it's Brady Allen Clark, and the Allen is after John Allen Clark. So we threw a little homage to the old man there. But, we just like the way Brady Clark sounded. He could be a baseball player, a NASCAR driver, senator. I mean, it works in all levels.
It is. It's rock solid. I'll probably name my son Rix.
Nice. Not Fabian.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe Walker Hutchman.
Yeah, Walker. There you
My
go.
girlfriend in Mississippi. No, she didn't want Walker. Her middle name was Walker, but she's like, if we ever have kids, she's like, our daughter would be named Olive, and our son would be named Levi. And at that point, I'm like, I got to get out of Mississippi. I love her, though. She's great, if she ever heard that. I love you. Knoll 43, it's Eric Angel, formerly of Cincinnati, now of Tallahassee. Wake up, Knowles. Aslan Corey, now that softball season is over, I still can't believe it. But we have to move on. The baseball team took care of business against Virginia. It was very worthy that the Noles were able to land another offensive lineman. Hopefully they're not done bringing anyone else along. We're 3 months away this coming Saturday from our Noles taking the field versus Duquesne. Is that? Wow. We are.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
3 months away, buddy.
I cannot wait. Looking forward to football season and hanging out the CP. I know Ralph from Hawaii will be there. As always, support Warchant on YouTube and warchant.com. Hit the like button, subscribe, drink your delicious DeLuna coffee. Go Noles. Eric from Tallahassee. Got a nice ring to it. I can't believe it. 3 months. 3 months. Yeah, we need to probably start playing the Duquesne CP shenanigans. So we'll see you up there, everybody. Let's go to Birmingham. Tennis ump. Wake up, guys. Has anyone reached out to the ACC network to find out why the hell the network is not showing the baseball tournament? Makes zero sense and is a really bad look. Thanks for all that you do. Starting to get cautiously optimistic about the upcoming football season. Go Noles.
It's kind of weird, right? And I know that
kind of weird.
South,
it's ridiculous.
But Sports South, Bally's, whatever you want to call it, Fox Sports has been doing this for a long time. They've always had the ACC tournament. But why? Right. Just because?
Well, because there wasn't an ACC network. We needed somebody. Now we have an ACC network. Give it up.
So, the ACC, the softball is on the ACC network. And the SEC network broadcasts all its softball and baseball tournament games. And then this one, it just you could have your own studio out in left field. You could really go into the games and the matchups and have the players on in between games. The ones that won, you could really do a cool, make it more of an event where Reese Albert could have gone and talked to the guys in the studio after the game, gone in left field and sat down as the other game is getting ready to be played. That kind of thing you see in between basketball tournament games. But no, the Florida State game will be, number one, you couldn't see it on Wednesday because you were blacked out because there was a baseball game on, which is perfect. But then even if you're in Georgia and you do watch the Florida State game, as soon as it's over, they go to Braves coverage. And so it's what if you went 12 innings? I mean, there's no way they would keep Braves fans from watching a Braves game because Florida State and Notre Dame are in a game. They would just move it to about the internet anyway. It's preposterous. It doesn't make any sense. It's a really good question, and I will find somebody to ask when we do the football media stuff in late July in Charlotte, the ACC kickoff. I will find somebody and ask them why they don't put it on the ACC network. What is that thing for other than this? What is it for?
I mean,
it's perfect for this.
The whole week SEC Network is in Birmingham. So I'm sure that's why Tennis Ump's asking this question. But they go to the Hoover Met rather than Birmingham. They're in Hoover. Sorry, it's different. I know. They're at the ballpark in Hoover, and they do all their programming from there. And yeah, they bring guys on the set and interview them while the other game's getting ready to go on. It's an event, like you're saying. It's an event that is tailor-made for a network that covers a specific conference. I mean, you can't make it any more seamless and easy. And I don't know, maybe I don't know, the agreement with Bally and Fox Sports South had reached back a certain amount of years. Maybe we're still in that window, and when it's expired, it'll go back to the ACC network. But I mean, ACC network's been around for what, like 3 years now? I mean, you figure they
more than that.
I mean, you'd figure they would push him, like, all right, like, we want to take this. That is just huge programming. That's huge inventory that you don't have to worry about filling up your entire log because you're like, man, this whole week we'll be out doing the baseball tournament. It's incredible. I like Corey's point. I'll try to remind him when we're both out there. We'll probably have 5 of us again out there in Charlotte for the.
So just so you know, folks, as we do this right now, Georgia Tech and Louisville are playing in the ACC baseball tournament. It's on Bally Sports. On the ACC network, you have North Carolina's spring game. And then at 3 o'clock, you have a replay of the Wake Forest and North Carolina football game from last year. And you could have, actual live sports, but whatever.
All right, we got 4 more. Let's speed through, and we got to wrap things up.
Let's do it.
We got a weekend to get to, everybody. Random_John, good morning, Azan and Corey. Hope you're both feeling as great as Corey's weight loss journey is going. By the way, Corey, keep kicking butt at it. One day I hope to see you on an ACC network commercial, underwater shaving with your tack shaver and wearing your tack glasses, selling P90X DVDs. Maybe an eagle can fly by at the end with Bjorn Warner Von Stryker sound.
Nice.
How are you doing, man? Are you still doing it? Are we still doing this working out thing?
Of course. Have you not looked at me lately?
I haven't
crazy?
seen you.
It's crazy you'd even have to ask me that. Do it. I'm doing it 6 days a week.
Woo.
5 or 6 days a week. Yeah,
it's a lifestyle.
This
all right.
High intensity, 30-minute. And the main thing, one of the main things is the diet has changed, which is smart. Yes.
All right. Anyways, before my million-mile-an-hour brain sends me down an ACC network fever dream, onto my question. Let us dream a little bit and say the SEC actually does create their own playoff. I fail to see how this would be successful short-term and completely disastrous for them long-term. What is the win for them by going this route? Also, what happens to the NCAA as an entity should the SEC break off into their own self-contained Bubba League? Everyone go log on to Warchant, subscribe. Since you will be on the internet already, go to DeLuna Coffee and order yourself some coffee. Once you have your caffeine kick, then head over to the corner pocket, play some darts, have an adult beverage. Also, Zaxby's. Go Noles.
What was the first part?
What's going to happen if the SEC is it? How is it a win for them by doing their own playoff?
It isn't. The reason that the SEC chant those goofy fans chant SEC all the time, they don't do it when they beat each other. They do it when they beat other teams. They compare themselves to other conferences. So they would lose that. They wouldn't be able to beat their chest and say, yeah, we're better than all you, because how would you know? You're just playing each other. It does nothing for them. Nothing at all. It would be like the National League just saying we're not playing in the World Series, but we won the National, or even like the NL West saying we're just going to play each other the whole season. Each team plays each other 40 times, and then we'll declare ourselves the best team in the league. It's just so dumb. And then the other part, the NCAA as an entity is always going to remain because of all the other sports. The thing we're talking about, or the thing that's being rumored or has been bandied about for a while, is just the breaking away in football. So if that happens, the NCAA still exists, and the NCAA still makes almost all of its money on the men's basketball tournament. Yes. So that it will still exist. It just might not be. It might not have the overview of football. Football might be out of its purview, I guess.
Yeah. Again, they make like $1 billion off the television rights for the basketball tournament. Then they throw back like $600 or $800 million back to the schools, and then the rest of that's their actual budget. So yeah, they'll live, they'll survive. Yeah, this is them jumping the shark. Go ahead, I dare you, do it, see what happens. I just don't know how to be successful at all. It'd be completely absurd. It just
yes,
I don't know. All right, Dane _Owen. What up, dudes? This is great. Toshman Stevens, DeBrail Smiley, Kaz Porowski, or Mr. Alexander, Jarman Fortson, Giorgio Newberry. Who you got? Also, go ahead.
Definitely the last one.
I mean, Kaz has got some pedigree to him,
Yeah, but Newberry could play both ways.
Yeah.
He played defense and offense. He was on the field on the final touchdown against Auburn. He was actually in that game. Mr. Alexander played in the league. And who was the other one in that group?
Jarman Fortson.
Yeah, and Fortson was a good receiver until he wasn't. Yeah. He had some ability. He had some playmaking ability. So yeah, I'd say that group.
Also,
Mr. Alexander was a freakish athlete.
He was good. He was awesome, man. Yeah, that was great because he was like a last-minute addition. He was a huge Florida State fan. They were kind of, stringing him along, and he was a fan favorite, like all for the kid already. And he came and had a nice career towards the end of everything. It took him a little bit while to develop, but it all worked out.
Anytime I hear his name, I remember Bob Thomas, who used to be on the beat. He used to be the FSU beat writer for a long time in Jacksonville, and back when newspapers had beat writers. And back then, when I first got on the beat, you could grab players as they came off the practice field. Imagine that. You could just say, "Hey, Jamon, you want to talk? Christian, can we talk for a second?" Yeah. But I just remember Mr. Alexander walking by and Bob going, "Hey, Mister, hey, Mister." And it made me laugh because it was like what a little kid in the 30s would say as a gang, trying to sell him a newspaper.
Yeah. Who are some of the other players that stick into your memory with fondness, despite not really doing a ton on the field? These are all guys that are on my list. Oh yeah, I got you, man. I mean, Joslyn Shaw, Jermaine McElroy, Russell Ball, Clarence Ward. I mean, that whole
Ajinajay.
Yeah,
what about him?
Yeah. Shout out Ochuko Kenajay. Shout out to him. DJ Norris, stand up. Yeah, man. Golly, I could go on and on with lost decade players. But those are some of my favorites right there. What about like the 80s? Like, what are some of the 80s guys that, I mean, I guess Enzo Armella could be thrown in there?
No, not really. He wasn't like Jesus Hernandez, who's also a part of Julian's life. He stands out. He played a lot more than Enzo did, I think.
Well, it says, who are some of the guys that stick into your memory for despite not really doing a ton on the field? Like, do they have a funny name or something? It's basically the all-name team or something. All right. I like that, Dane. Sorry to gloss over it. We probably would have spent much more time on this if it wasn't at the end of the show.
Yeah, it's hard to think about. It's hard to think about like guys that didn't do much. Like, why would I? 30 years later, I'm talking about.
Well, you're a Florida State fan. Gosh, when I was neck deep in this stuff all the time, I knew everybody on the roster. I could do the whole entire 85.
Well, no, I do too. But I'm like, if they didn't do a whole lot on the field, I don't have a ton of fond memories of them. That's what I'm saying.
What about Colin Blake? Remember Colin Blake? He was supposed to be something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hope he's all right.
No fond memories of him either.
All right. Let's go to Kentucky. It's Dave. Bourbon is your friend. We got 3 graphs. You're gonna one of these times I'm gonna have you read these, Corey. So I have to read all of them. All right, Corey.
No way. You guys have a good thing going.
When you were discussing the Jimbo Saban saga, you said something to the effect of, "If you've got dirt on Saban, then tell us." Well, Jimbo said that. My mental response was, "Corey, you've got stories, so why don't you tell us? Don't give me this 'I'm a journalist' bit." But you don't have attorney-client privilege. That was your dad. Maybe sources wouldn't talk to you anymore, or at worst, you lose your Heisman vote. But wouldn't it be worth it for that one awesome podcast where you just share all the insider secrets you know? You've at least alluded to some interesting Taggart stories. By the way, are you the only person on Warchant with a Heisman vote? He is, right?
Yeah.
You are.
Yep.
What are the criteria for getting a Heisman vote? Is it strictly knowing how many yards Sammy Smith had in each game of 87?
Correct. It was a test, and I passed. Yeah. With flying colors. No, I was just.
It gets passed on, doesn't it? Like, don't you inherit?
Yeah,
it from somebody?
I think I'm not trying to be flippant. I think somebody that voted died, and it goes by states. So, like Mike Bianchi from the Orlando Sentinel, he's like the Heisman. He's the state of Florida Heisman rep. And so he's the one that extends invites to people that media members are. I don't guess they're all media members, but most of them are media members in the state of Florida that want to be a Heisman. So I think when I was at the Democrat, he extended it to Ira and I and said, which one of you would like to do this? And Ira didn't seem to really mind. So I'm like, yeah, man, I think that'd be cool. Yeah. So I voted. So I got my Heisman vote that way. But I don't remember why it came open. I literally think somebody either said, I'm not doing this anymore, or they passed away. So they had a spot in Florida available, and Bianchi was nice enough to extend it to. And plus, we were the newspaper in the state capitol, so it made sense. Like I think Dan Cilio used to have a vote forever. I think Levitard's dad has a vote. So it's not it's not elite media company that I'm keeping. Not that I'm elite media company either. But so that's essentially how it happened.
Yeah, I knew a kid from...
And I just kept it. I got to keep it even when I went to Warchant.
Yeah, some kid from Indiana who worked in television in Columbus, Mississippi had a Heisman vote. That rankled me.
Right.
Aslan, you really did a great job with the Summer Strength Program video last year. Thank you. I think I speak for all Florida State fans, really all of humanity, when I say we're eagerly awaiting your reprisal. Probably not happening. I was thinking, I'm like, what can I do to follow this up? And I don't really have any good ideas, anybody. So if you have a good idea, I don't know, maybe let me know. This reminds me, one of two FSU football player interactions I had during my time at FSU. Sophomore year, 97-98, I lived next door to Demetro Stevens. We had an adjoining wall in a condo duplex on Hartsfield Way off of High Road. Oh, man, you live far away from campus. He was pretty quiet. We never saw much of each other until one day he needed a ride to school for some reason. Of course, the first and most important question 20-year-old Dave could think of was, how much do you bench? I believe his response was 450. If I go any higher, my pecs get too big, and I can't get my arms in front of me as easily. Aslan, do you think that was Stephen Dix's problem last year?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't want to like some of these questions sometimes, and then I laugh, and then Dave is emboldened to keep doing it. Lastly, and I hope this isn't a stupid question, when do single-season tickets go on sale? And how do we buy away tickets? I don't know, man, I don't know. Corey, same thing. Corey hasn't bought a ticket. Well, you've bought tickets through friends that work for the university. But, yeah, you just got to check the Seminole ticket office. Subscribe to they'll send you emails whenever
call them.
Yeah. They'll email you these things when they become available. Scalping isn't as fun as it used to be. Listeners might be thinking this is a really dumb question, but perhaps mixing between riveting discussions about conference alignment, TV contracts, we could have someone from the ticket office tell us the date to circle on our calendars for single-game ticket sales and away game tickets. We'll see.
I think the problem there, the away game, you kind of have to know someone. They only get us a couple thousand to some of these games, and those almost always go to boosters. They might have some available, like if it's at Syracuse, maybe. But the ones you'd want to go to, I would think, would be really hard to get just calling the ticket office. And also, single game tickets, man, they are not pumping that. They don't want you to get a single game ticket. So I would assume, I don't know, it's just an assumption. I don't think you could be like, hey, I want a ticket to the Miami game through the FSU ticket office. I don't think that's something you can do in May. It might be something you can do the week of the game, not the Miami game. Sorry, that was a bad example. The Clemson game, because they're actually in Doak this year. That's something you could probably do the week of the game, maybe. But I don't even know if they do single game ticket sales until the week of the game. But again, I wouldn't know. So that was just that was a minute and a half wasted on pure speculation.
Island Chief, last one. Wake up! I have not been paying close attention, but what happened to APR? Has it morphed into something else? GSR? What is that about, and does it matter? Is there even a Dion rule anymore? Corey and Aslan went to a high school graduation and heard this a lot. Hags, have a great summer. That's what the kids are saying these days? Oh,
good
geez.
grief.
There's no
I mean,
hope.
we got to stop it, gang. It's up to us. They've already just been allowed to say HOCO. Nobody says homecoming anymore. It's just the signs don't even say homecoming. They just say HOCO. Like AYCE at a barbecue restaurant. They don't even spell it out anymore. And now they're saying hags, no chance. And I'm a lazy person. That's the laziest thing I've ever heard. It's not even have a great summer in hags. What was the difference in time there in syllables?
Well, it's hags, the texting. It's the texting and the writing of it, But
yeah,
if you heard people saying it, that's ridiculous.
Do kids even laugh anymore, or do they just say LOL and move on to each other? It's nuts.
Oh, man. I don't know. Should we hit pause and research this one? I need to think, Corey, that like I need to devote like an hour a day to like studying almost, which kind of ruin the fun of the job, like actually having to study and prepare for these things. I know, GSR is like graduation success rate. I think they might have moved the APR score, like the threshold a little bit down to not, so it's pretty much a pretty clearable hurdle for most people. I mean, I'm reading this story from 2020 where the teams that were in the playoff, they all had APR scores like well into the high 900s, which would keep you, totally fine and, eligible or whatever. So I guess maybe the score has just been put so low that you have to really almost be trying not to put through with it. But I know that was part of Willie's sort of defense, was that he couldn't churn the roster through because that was going to affect APR, because if certain kids leave and they don't finish school, that pings you. But maybe with this sort of entire transfer portal world that we live in, that's been affected. But yeah, I'm sorry, Island Chief. I don't have a good answer to it. And I tried to research real quick and I couldn't find it because it's Friday for me. But I love you. I'll look it up and maybe I'll type out an answer to you. How about that? Hags. Have a great Saturday, and I'll give it to you on Sunday.
There you go. Have a great or have a great weekend. Hagwa.
Oh man. All right, that's it. We won't have a show on Monday. Hopefully you folks have off. Hopefully you can take some time to pay tribute to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. We'll be back on Tuesday. We'll have content going up on warchant.com throughout the weekend. Selection Monday, we'll know where Florida State's heading to in the regionals. Right. We'll break it all down for you next week. And for Corey, I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening for an entire week again of shows here on Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.